Hi everybody and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Remnant 2. As the final expansion is out from the first season of the game, we don't know if there's going to be any more Remnant, so I thought it was a perfect time to just talk a little bit about the game. You see, when Remnant 2 came out last year, I fell in love with it. I spent 200 hours within the first couple of months in that game. I then played the Awakening King expansion when it came out and absolutely loved it. And now the Dark Horizon expansion and the Forgotten Kingdom has released, and I've yet to play any of them. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about them and the free update all Remnant players got. So let's just get straight into it. First off, let's just start with the Forgotten Kingdom, because that is the oldest expansion that I didn't talk about, releasing about 6 months ago now. And I am kind of excited to talk about it, because the Forgotten Kingdom is pretty fucking good. Starting off, I just want to talk about the visuals of the Forgotten Kingdom, which are all beautiful. I love Yasha. I love the visuals on this area of Remnant. I love the deep purples. I love the nature vibes. I love all of it. The deep jungle vibe just fits the game so fucking well. It is incredible to see. It's the entire aesthetic of it, the ancient kingdom. You're exploring this ruined land. It just fits it so well. I really like it a lot, as you can hear. I'm also a pretty big fan of the weapons that you get here. The Trinity Bow and of course the final boss drops that I can't remember the name of is some of my favorite weapons of all time now in Remnant, taking the spot from the Crescent Bow, which I also really like. There are just so many good weapons in this game, and the Forgotten Kingdom just added more. And same thing goes with the storylines, which I actually think is taken up a notch here. Both with Walt, that you can have this friendship with, and who will tell you all the stories of the ancient kingdom and the gods of that and how they fought and why you're where you are. And Lydusa, who I also really like as a character. I think it's interesting to have this essential god-like creature just there, who literally just existed when the Yasha then came to the area, and then they did a bunch of stuff and they kind of ended up fighting and all of that. Like, I love it. I think it's so good. I think it's so good. However, I do have to say, with Lydusa, they know what they did with that name. There wasn't a single point in the game where I didn't call her Lydusi, just because it fits so well. It's like very clear, they know what they did here. It also has to be said that I think most of the areas in Remnant 2 are really good. They aren't well designed, I can't say that, as they are random maps that are just sort of thrown together through, like, I think it's a world generation, because instead of something like Dark Souls, where everything is like a linear game, it is all literally designed. In Remnant, they take specific chunks of the map, design them, and then it's like getting thrown randomly together, which works fairly well here. And the main issue I can see here, in my opinion, when it comes to the world design of everything, is the fucking loot system in Remnant just not really fitting that well. There are a lot of rings and amulets and so on in Remnant, and most of them feel completely useless. You are usually hunting 1 or 2 items. Maybe like me, you were hunting the Behemoth from the Awakening King expansion just because it's a Berserk reference and he Berserk. But it has to be mentioned that I think this system is so unrewarding here, because at least for me, I've already spent a lot of time on Yasha, and I have gotten a lot of these already existing world drop rings, which means when I pick most items up, I just get 250 scrap, and it's like, I don't really need that. There isn't a lot of stores in this game that actually sells useful items. I don't know what I am gonna use this for. It's just kind of one of those things that continuously bothers me with Remnant, and it did in the beginning, it does now, and spoiler alert, it also will in the Dark Horizon expansion. It's a little bit of an annoying sort of thing to have to deal with. But it has to be said, overall, the Forgotten Kingdom is beautiful. It's a great area to explore, even when you get the lament for the 15,000th time that existed in Remnant before this fucking expansion as well. And that's one thing I do want to mention when it comes to the world building, is that they tend to also put old fragments from like the main game into the DLC world, which is kind of like, why? I get there's supposed to be intersections, But when I'm playing the DLC, I want to experience the DLC. I don't want to fight the Corrupt or any other boss that I've already fought. I want to see something new. I want to experience the new. I don't want to experience the old. And it kind of does irritate me that it seems to be a running theme with the game and its generation. And it also has to be said when we talk about that. Of course, like I mentioned the loot and whatnot. And that also goes to boss drops, because of course if you find some of the old bosses, the old boss drops which you can use. And it's kind of, again, why is this a thing? And I do like how they've implemented the DLCs in the main game though, where if you play the fucking campaign variant of Remnant 2, then you can randomly roll these areas as well. Besides that, the bosses in the Forgotten Kingdom are pretty much all good. I like all of them. I think Remnant has some fantastic boss fights. Honestly, it is probably what it does best. It is the boss fights of the game. I fucking adore them. Like, Dusa is a great boss, and so is that one Stone Warrior guy, man. I just really like the bosses here. I even like the arbiters, like the randomly slightly more powerful normal variants of enemies. They are also really fun bosses. They are both really fitting to the setting, of course, because they are just normal enemies. But I do like the more souped up versions. I also think the normal enemies that you fight are good. So overall, Forgotten Kingdom is a great expansion. So let's just quickly move over to the Dark Horizon. To begin with, in the Dark Horizon, I again think it's beautiful. I really do like the color font that they used here. Again, deep purples, all of that. It's just an instant hit with me. I love that in Elden Ring as well. I love that in the Forgotten Kingdom. I love it here. I love the fields. I love sort of the entire vibe of the expansion. I've always liked the vibe of Nerude. I just always found myself being kind of annoyed with the visuals of the place. I hated the desert. I hated this Forgotten Planet vibe thing. And that's not because I hate the planet vibe. It's more or less because I hate the fact that it's all fucking desert and ruined facilities. It's always just struck me as odd when all of the other locations were so vibrant in comparison. And same thing goes here. I think the desert section would have been boring, but that's why they got rid of it. There is no desert section. Now it's all farmlands and fields, and it fits infinitely better. I think it is such a cool thing. And what they did here is something that I honestly didn't expect them to, and I don't think anybody really did, was they added the paraglider from Fortnite. No, I am not kidding. You can hate me if you want. This is the fucking paraglider from Fortnite, and it controls just like that. However, it is used here as a traversal mechanic, so you go to the edge of a cliff, and then you can use this paraglider to go over this like a leg of, I have no idea what it is, but it can be boosted up and down, and it allows you to explore the map in an entirely new way. That was such a fun mechanic. I cannot describe how much I loved it. It has allowed them to hide secrets outside of the map and outside of the normal areas, and in completely new ways that you have to explore the map to like find all the secrets. I think that is a really cool idea, and something that if there ever is a Remnant 2 sequel, if there's a Remnant 3, or if there is some new expansion for Remnant 2, that should be played around with. That is a fantastic mechanic. More of that, please. More of these unique ideas. I really like them. I loved seeing that here. I also think it has to be said, of course, that the weapons here were also overall alright. I like what I saw, I like what I got. I also really like the storylines here. I think Spark, or like I ran around and called her Sparky. I love the questline for Spark. I think Spark was a fantastically cool NPC. Up until the point where you complete the expansion, where you take Spark back to Earth, and Spark then tasks you with collecting these different alloys and metals from all over the fucking solar system, or in this case, the different dimensions, which you do by just killing enemies and getting them as random drops. This did not need to exist. This is boring, it is so grindy, and what irritates me about it is that Gunfire Games, the people behind Remnant, has made multiple quests that are better. The quest for Anguish, as an example, was fantastic. I don't mind there being some RNG, but it shouldn't be the primary factor of the quest or the mission that you're doing. The fact that it is here irritates me. I don't really like the quest where it's like, oh, you have to kill 50 enemies in MMOs. This is literally that, but on steroids. I don't know why this needed to exist. Why couldn't it have been some sort of cool, more intricate quest like we had with, again, Anguish or something like that? That was so much cooler. I don't know why we needed this in the game. I don't think it was a great addition, and I think it was kind of dumb. And that is not to say that the Dark Horizon expansion is bad, because like I said, I love the new mechanics that they add in there. I think the visuals are fucking cool, and I think the boss fights are even cooler. Especially the final one that I'm not going to spoil, because this is a fair bit newer than the Forgotten Kingdom releasing last month. I think it's a really cool expansion that you should get to experience if you haven't. However, the loot problem still persists here. I am really tired of finding the same like 4 rings in Remnant and then just getting 250 scrap for picking them up. This is still a problem here in this expansion, and it kind of feels weird. And I don't really know why they decided to go that route with like the entire loot system. I have proposed the idea before, and I'll propose it again. Just have enemies drop the world drop rings from time to time. That is going to make me actually want to kill them instead of just skipping them, because I'm already max level and I have no point in killing them. I might as well just run past them like I do in Elden Ring. I don't gain anything by murdering them, so I don't. Another idea or way to fix it that I'll get into a little bit later, because this is the main issue with the game in my opinion right now, is, to put it very bluntly, just have the bosses, like the basic bosses, give you a guaranteed unique ring that you don't have. It can be a ring from like the planet or whatever, but one of these world drop rings, just let a boss drop it. Like guaranteed when you kill one of the big bosses. I think that would also be a fixed. Because at the end of the day, I don't think Remnant is supposed to be this really grindy fucking game. This isn't Destiny, it's not Warframe. I don't think people are really here for that, and you don't need to. You don't need to grind in Remnant really if you want to get good gear. You can do it on survival like I have for most of my time, just playing through the different bosses and whatnot, and that can reward you with enough to get a build. But I'd like to, collect items. I like to do that, so that's also where sort of my criticism comes from. And it is just kind of unrewarding to see that purple grow. You get excited, you're in the DLC. There's a new item? What could it be? Oh, it is the same ring that was in the main game. Fuck. It is like a little bit unrewarding to have that experience, and it's like one of the very few things that drags this game down. I genuinely believe it's that. Other than that, I think I can say that both of the expansions are fantastically good. The bosses are amazingly good. I love the enemy design. I love the world design in both of them. I love the stories that are being told. I think they are fantastically good expansions that have one big unfortunate problem, and that's about it. But I think they are incredibly good, both of them. So let's talk about the big update Remnant 2 got. In this update, they completely reworked the Prism system. Now, instead of it just being a passive stat that you get and just equip on your heart, you have this stone. That stone can be leveled. When it's leveled, it gets a random buff on it. However, you can determine that. How do you determine that, you ask? Well, good thing. The prisms that you had before are now these small stones that you can infuse into the bigger stone, that then gives it a higher chance of rolling with one of the stats that you have sacrificed. You can have a maximum of 5 stats in that. However, you can continue to level them up. I have no idea how far it goes. I am currently at level 18 with mine, which I don't think is that high. The stat bumps are small, being closer to like 2%. Rather than the 15 that were before. However, in addition to that prism system, you also have normal prisms, which you can kind of equip on the side of the big buff that you're getting, which are giving you slightly bigger buffs. However, they are main on the heart. So that can be things like the range damage and so on. The main issue with the system is just that there are a lot of prisms, and I have at least tried often getting ones I just straight up don't like, and there are a lot of them I personally see as being kind of useless. I think everything can in theory be used, I just don't think there's a lot that I would personally use, but maybe that is me. And when it comes to leveling the prism, you can do it 2 ways. Obviously, like I said, you can sacrifice the smaller stones to it. However, you can do the other thing, which is just play the game, kill enemies, and that also gives you XP for your main stone. Once you then level it up, you get to pick a stat, or if you have the maximum amount of stats in them, you can upgrade those stats to make them go higher. And that's pretty much the update to that system. On the other side of the update, you have a new mode called Boss Rush. This is technically right. In the Boss Rush mode, you get to fight either 3, 7, or 19 bosses almost back to back to back. The way it works is kind of like a roguelike. You get put into an arena where you can find a statue that can give you an upgrade. However, you just need to kill enemies, so you can't also skip it. Once you've filled up the bar, you've killed enough enemies, an arbiter will spawn. You kill that arbiter, and you can go through the door to the next arena. The next arena holds one of the game's main bosses. Killing the main boss gives you two things. It gives you an upgrade, but it also gives you the completion of the first part of the gauntlet or the boss rush. Then if you're doing the free variant like I have done, you do it 2 more times. Once you've completed it 2 more times, you get a bunch of XP, a unique item, well not a unique item, but you get an item, and then you can do it again and just replay with different bosses. It is a neat system, yet it does not fix Remnant's loop problem. I don't think it is necessarily meant to do that. I think it's just a nice challenge for people who are looking for it, and I think for that it does indeed do that very well. I wish there was something that was sort of unique to it as far as I've been able to find. There's no unique rewards for the boss rush mode, which is kind of weird. It is just random crafted or world drops and a bunch of XP, which as good as that is still kind of weird. I do like the update overall. I think it is a nice update with the boss rush mode. I think the Prism system was completely unnecessary, to be honest. I just think it overcomplicates things a lot. And I think that the main issue I see in Remnant 2 going forward, that either needs to be fixed within Remnant or maybe within the next game that they're doing, is definitely the loot system. Because there is nothing worse than seeing the loot drop and then just getting 250 scrap for it. Then I'd rather not see it at all and not being drawn to it. If they completed in spawn after picking up, that would be fine. I think the solution to that issue is very simply put, to have it be dropped by a main boss. So when you complete one of the big bosses with a cinematic and everything, then you get a unique item that you don't already have from the world drop pool or the world pool. I think that is the solution to that system. It has to be said though, we don't know what is the future for Remnant 2 now. We don't know if there's gonna be a 4th expansion. We have no idea. Technically they have fulfilled the promise that they gave. We don't know if this has been financially successful enough to the point where they're gonna go for a 4th and a 5th and a 6th and so on, or if they're gonna move on to other projects. I will say I wouldn't mind it either way. I'm looking forward to see what Gunfire Games does next, as I genuinely love both Remnant games. I think they're fantastic. I would love to see some more explorations of the different Remnant universes. Like Yasha, you could sit in an entire game in that universe and I wouldn't blink. I would love to see that and explore that as a spin-off. I would also, of course, be up for seeing some more of the Remnant story. There have been some ideas of it being in a simulation and whatnot. There is a cool story hidden there somewhere, and I would love to see that fully explored and realized as well. With that being said though, I think Remnant is a fantastic game that you should play if you like Soulspawn games. It is a genuinely fun shooter. It is a really unique game that manages to have a bunch of weapons to obtain that feels just as good as doing exotic quests in Destiny or doing all of these sort of unique things to get the weapon. It really feels like it gives the weapons personality. It feels like the bosses have personality and they are mostly all fun fights. I really enjoy the game, but with all of that being said, I don't want to stimulate overlay you anymore, so I will allow you to break free from my voice for a little bit here, and I'll leave you to it, as I hope you have a wonderful day and a fantastic evening if it isn't already evening ahead of you, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.